All right, well, let's move on from all of those purely political considerations and get a business update. I'm joined here in the studio by Brian Quinn for that. Hi there, Brian.
Hi, Catherine.
And now we are going to stick with the goings-on in the UK, not the purely political side, but looking ahead to what's facing the British government, particularly with those Brexit negotiations due to start next week.
Right, well, the so-called hard Brexit is looking increasingly unlikely after Theresa May and her Conservative Party lost their majority in Britain's House of Commons. Business leaders, especially now, are calling for a softer approach to negotiations with the EU, trying to avoid the shock of a sudden departure from the single European market. Now, a new poll of Britain's business leaders has shown a dramatic drop in confidence following the poll. The political uncertainty in the UK is leading to fears of further inflation. A drop in the value of the pound and a fall-off in consumer spending are contributing to those worries. Sharon Gaffney takes a look at the overall economic picture in this report.
A plunge for the pound as traders react to the UK general election results. Markets had been expecting a clear victory for Theresa May's party. Now that the Conservatives have lost their majority in Parliament, fears are growing that political turmoil could complicate or delay Brexit negotiations, which are due to start in a week and a half.
I think now what they want to see is certainty. Markets always hate uncertainty. It's a great cliche, but it does ring true. And I think we just want to see some stability in the domestic political scene, especially at this really important moment when we're heading into Brexit negotiations.
The OECD had already predicted a Brexit-related slowdown for the British economy. GDP growth is forecast to hit 1.6% this year and barely 1% next year. Rising inflation combined with the falling pound means consumer spending has taken a hit. Inflation rose from 0.8% before the referendum last year to 2.6% in April, and according to the Bank of England, it could reach 3% by the end of the year. Analysts say the election result could ultimately be a good thing for the pound, leading to a softer Brexit and paving the way for the UK to make a smoother exit from the EU.
All right, interesting times ahead, to say the very least, I think. How are the markets looking this morning, Brian?
Well, European markets opening lower as investors take a very cautious approach to the hung parliament in the UK. Investors also looking ahead to a two-day meeting of the Federal Reserve in the US starting Wednesday. That could see interest rate hikes. Asian markets also trading in the red Monday. Japan's Nikkei closed down around 0.5%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index is down over 1%. Same for Korea's Kospi Index. Well, let's take a look at some more of today's business headlines. Uber's board of directors has voted to adopt all measures proposed in a report on allegations of sexual harassment at the company. In a unanimous decision, the board accepted all recommendations from former Attorney General Eric Holder following a months-long investigation into the company's business culture. The measures, which will be released Tuesday, could include a forced leave of absence for Uber CEO Travis Kalanick, himself increasingly under fire for his leadership style. German discount grocery chain Aldi plans to invest nearly $3.5 billion in America to expand its store presence from 1,600 current locations to 2,200 by 2022. Its rival Lidl plans to open the first of 100 U.S. stores this week, saying it plans to price its offerings up to 50% cheaper than competitors. Both will be going up against U.S. retail giant Walmart, which plans to spend around $6 billion to stay competitive in the low-cost grocery market. Indian legislators are approving a number of tax cuts as the country prepares for its largest tax reform program since independence in 1947. The reform, known as the GST, is intended to replace India's sprawling system of local taxes with a single national sales tax. The Indian government has faced resistance from a number of economic interests over the new tax program, but the GST is set to take effect in 3 weeks.
All right, let's bring things back here to Europe. We've got some news from Greece, a country that has put so much austerity into action over the last decade, more or less. Some new austerity measures being adopted there right now as well.
All right, well, the country is looking ahead, in fact, to a meeting of Eurozone finance ministers on Thursday as Greece seeks to unlock the next installment of its badly needed bailout cash. The Greek parliament voted Friday to institute new pension cuts and foreclosure regulations. Now, that drew protests, with fish thrown towards police to represent the measures being tacked on to fishing regulations. Now, in that Eurozone meeting coming Thursday, Athens is hoping to get relief from some of its crushing debt load, as well as inclusion in the European Central Bank's government bond buying program. Greece's finance minister asked the country's skeptical opposition lawmakers to wait until after the meeting to pass judgment.
Some people are hoping that Thursday's Eurogroup discussion won't be about debt, but about prior actions. What I ask of you, the Greek Parliament, is to wait and see what the Eurogroup will bring. And if the opposition is right, perhaps we won't get anything on debt or enter the bond buying programme. In my opinion, anything is possible, but we'll see next week.
All right, well, with all of this news, all you want is a bit of an escape from reality. If you're a video game fan, it seems that you could have some good news on the horizon on that front.
Yeah, that's right. They're just getting better and better. Microsoft has just released what it's calling the world's most powerful gaming console, the Xbox One X. Slightly redundant name, if you ask me, but developed under the codename Project Scorpio under tight secrecy. The new console boasts 6 teraflops of graphic processing, which should allow it to run games in 4K Ultra HD. Microsoft unveiled the new $500 console at the E3 gaming conference in Los Angeles over the weekend. Now, Microsoft will be going up in fierce competition with Sony's PlayStation PS4 Pro for that gaming console title.
There you go, just getting more and more realistic and ever more high definition. Thanks very much.
Thanks,
Brian Quinn in very high definition here in our studio, back in a couple of hours' time with some more business for us. Right now we're going to take a short break and we'll see you in a couple of minutes' time. I'm confused between last week.